Hey everybody, this is Cindy at an open door. It is May 9th, 2025. This is the hour we have been titling Reality Check, where we have set the intention, or at least the intention for this meeting as a direct experience. And at the moment, we've been using the teachings of Helen Hamilton, most specifically the book Reality Check. And it has been our habit. I have what is an 8-minute Helen Hamilton clip to begin. It is entitled From Disease to Ease. Unless there's something anyone would like to say, I'll cue it up. Here we go.
In the process of awakening, I'm hoping to let go of an autoimmune disease that is proving to be resistant and has at times threatened my life. So much was going on when I contracted it 30 years ago that it's quite hard to find or remember the real cause. When I try an inquiry and zone into body sensations, I don't get any beliefs emerging, just the intense heat of inflammation or soreness. I ask, what is the belief attached here, but nothing emerges. So I cannot ask the question, is this really true? Any guidance you have would be helpful, as the medications are no longer working at all. So when we are contemplating, trying to find a belief that is reflecting as this body condition, illness, this dis-ease in the harmony of the body, is a reflection of some idea that we're holding on to that we haven't seen or looked at clearly. And of course, you know that I'm just kind of saying that to put it into context, because our body is trying to tell us, having to tell us, it's something that perhaps we haven't looked at emotionally, or something that we haven't looked at deep enough emotionally. So if we have a strong emotion, so fear or guilt or unworthiness, even self-hatred, then and we haven't been able to feel that emotion for whatever reason, maybe it didn't feel safe to feel it, or we were told it was wrong, or whatever, we were in a situation where it was generated where we couldn't feel it, then it's really going to be finding the beliefs is really more looking at the emotions. What emotions do you feel on a regular basis that are then reflecting, because as the body condition, because every karmic pattern shows up 3 ways simultaneously: as thoughts, the unconscious beliefs, and then as an emotion, a more gross, tangible manifestation than a thought, and then physical, in physicality somewhere. So in this case, in your body. So have a look at the negative emotions you feel, and mind will say that you feel this emotion because you have this thing going on in the body. But in truth, that is separation, the emotion caused by what's happening to the body. So if it's life-threatening or has been, there's probably some fear there. And mind will say, I'm scared because this thing is happening to my body. But in the truth, I'm scared because I think I'm a separate being, I'm in danger. And that's reflecting this belief, is not allowing the fullness of the life force to flow through the body. And it looks like illness and disease. And the more constricted the life force is, the more severe the illness or the disease will appear to be. So first of all, having a look at the negative emotions that you feel, and then working that back to the belief. And on the website, helenhamilton.org, in the free teaching section, I think there's a list of emotions and hidden beliefs behind them as a suggestion to kind of go with for that, using the contemplation technique. And still, even if you look at the body itself, a second way to look at this, the body is a very literal metaphor for what's going on inside of us. So autoimmune disease is where your body is kind of attacking itself, isn't it? as far as I know, my understanding might be limited here, the immune system is attacking tissue that and systems that shouldn't be. So something is out of sync. There's an attack going on inside. And this is symbolic of something happening deeper inside you. This is a reflection of something happening deeper inside. Where are you attacking yourself? Where are you criticizing yourself? Where are you hating yourself, even if you look deep enough? And I know as I say this, most of us will say, well, I don't hate myself. You know, it's not that deep. I don't have any feelings that I'm aware of that. And that's why the body's having to show us, because we haven't really seen it. It was astonishing to me that even after several deep seeings, when I actually looked at what was going on, because my life wasn't flowing still, I finally dug out this kind of intense self-hatred, this self-loathing inside that was still there after many seeings, and was experiencing peace and joy. But my life wasn't flowing. So there must have been some belief that was stopping the energy moving down through the body, the energy centers, and then out into the greater manifestation. So looking at the metaphor, self-attacking self, why would you be doing that on some level? Can you admit that that must be going on some level and be willing to see that? None of us, especially this far into the path of awakening, want to see that, because we value love and truth and honesty. It doesn't feel right, and we don't really want to look inside to find some kind of self-hatred still going on. We might not even believe, we might say, well, I'm obviously not the egoic structure. I've seen what I really am. But that seeing sometimes doesn't penetrate deep enough yet to undo this mechanism. It's very rare that someone will have a seeing powerful enough in one go to obliterate all these egoic structures that are still working. We only hear about the ones that do, but most of us, we still have to go in and look at these patterns underneath. So just listening to yourself when you talk, are you unknowingly criticizing yourself, diminishing yourself? How do you really feel about yourself? How you feel about your body too is a reflection of how you feel about you. How you feel about your abilities and your mind, and all of that is a reflection of how you feel about you. For me, when I looked at this, I had some very negative feelings about my body. I had to admit, eventually, that's how I actually feel about myself. My body is just innocently reflecting to me and doesn't have any other choice what I'm thinking and feeling on a deep unconscious level, of course. And that's why it's having to show us, because we can't see it any other way. So I hope that gives you some direction to go with that. Have a go applying what I've said here, and do write back in if you need to kind of fine tune that. And my gut feeling is that it's about some kind of self-hatred going on inside with that. And not blaming yourself for that, because that just adds to it. Each one of us has been functioning from mind's perspective, and mind is taking a snapshot at our life, looking at who it thinks we are, comparing it to where it thinks we want to be, need to be. When I get to this point in the future, I'll be good enough, I'll like myself, I'll love myself. And it can never kind of arrive at this point here, because this one, where it thinks we're starting from, is deeply flawed. We are not this separate being that we think that mind thinks we are. So how can we ever go from here to here if the starting reference point is completely untrue? But mind thinks it's true, so it keeps trying and failing to be this better person, more awakened, better father, better wife, better career. All these things it's trying to get to, whatever that is for you, where I'll finally be happy and I'll like myself. So recognizing it's not your fault, not any of our fault if we have these deep feelings about ourselves. And that is a natural byproduct of using the mind to try to navigate through our life to find happiness. That's the only tool we had till now. So we can let go of blame in that. I hope that helps, but do get back in touch about that if you need to.
as is the habit, unless the habit has changed since I've been gone. We open up, see if anybody wants to share anything before we go back to the book. Please, Rona.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending where you are on this beautiful planet. It struck me when she said, how I feel about my body is really how I feel about myself. And so the first kind of thought that arose was, well, I am not this body. However, I have been so tricked into thinking that I am, that all of this, like, measuring stick about the body is just covering up the real measuring stick that I'm feeling about myself on the inside. It's a dis-ease, you know. She said self-attacking self. And there's no blame about that, but just be willing to look right now, right? With all the work that I think that I've done, to allow the looking to happen now. And, you know, she ended with this, and I can't hear this enough. It's not about being a better person, achieving goals. That's the illusion. You know, that in relatively, yeah, that's the game I'm playing for sure, but not to cling and attach to that. It's about recognition of self now. What's the feeling now? And loving the self now. So thank you so much for that video. It was a great way to start the day.
Izzy.
Yeah, I just briefly want to add too, I used to think that if I just looked at something once, looked deeply at something once, that it would get handled. But I think some beliefs that we have are really sticky. Like just in this last week alone, I've had to look at my belief that I ain't getting no respect, and that's a real sticky one for me. So I wanted to add that too.
So, you typically, when I pick the video, I just pick they always post, whoever's working for Helen always finds a video and posts it like every week, a clip. And I just picked that one. This one popped up first, and it's 2 years old. And I saw the one from this week too. But the thing is, I've been dealing with physical symptoms um, pretty much since I came back from New Jersey. And they come and go. They felt like just a cold, and then they got, I'd have shakes and shivers. And since I got off the plane Tuesday night, there's a heaviness and a fatigue, and my family wants to label, a whole bunch of people have labeled themselves as having bronchitis after the wedding. So doing my best not to label it. But there's been a lot of congestion, periods where I can't speak, fatigue, heavy. I don't feel, the head feels really heavy. And so it was curious to me, no longer no longer surprised by anything, that a clip posted 2 years ago would show up on my feed while I was dealing with physical symptoms. So I just played it. And then, though I didn't play it before, we just played it. And then this morning, in the dyad that I didn't know I was hosting, I ended up hosting. And at the end of the dyad, we give a writing prompt. And somehow, the prompt that I offered the group and that I use, because I don't often use the writing prompts, was, what have you been hiding from yourself that can now be known? And I was very surprised when I wrote down fear. not intellectual, conceptual fear, just fear. And I welcomed it up. So went from having these physical symptoms that I've been really patient and open and allowing with, though they're very unusual in the Cindy experience, to acknowledging fear in my space, to having this clip pop up and Helen inviting emotion or feelings to come up. This idea for me that there's three aspects. There's the thinking mind, there's the feeling, and there's the physical sensations. I think I'm going to have to go back and spend more time with that. I hadn't quite saw it with the clarity she just described it with, while keeping all of it. This is what's happening. And that's what I have to share. I also need a reader. Oh, Patricia, please. You'll have to unmute though. There you go.
Good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see you. And Cindy, I hope you feel better. I hope that the body feels better. Speaking of the body, I was on I had my latest back surgery, which was in 2017, did a number on my body. Be that as it may, I was on a pain patch to help with the pain of the body, of the back. And not to my knowledge, because the doc said, "Oh, this is going to help you so much," and he's a pain doctor. And I said, "Oh, thank God." But it turned out it was an opiate patch. Now I have to take some responsibility because I trusted him and I didn't look it up. Well, it was an opiate patch, only 10 milligrams, but still. And I had to get off of this, and because it can affect people cognitively, and I wasn't interested in that. So over time, but the withdrawal symptoms in the body, it was so interesting. A lot of anxiety, depression, a lot of negative thinking. And I just felt so badly for other people who are addicted to opiates. Now, I had been on this patch for 4 years. So I've been finally off for the past couple of weeks, and I've been looking at that process and with great empathy for others who are addicted to it, because I was addicted, but on higher doses, of course. So now the back feels terrible. It's not being numbed out. And now, to be able to deal with my back or the back, I'm having to do acceptance. This is what is. I go to physical therapy. What else can I do? Acceptance, and working with that. And so this was a good video to watch. How does it affect self-feeling? It's like, you should have known, you should have done the research, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is what is. So I'm feeling grateful to be here. I'm feeling grateful to be off the patch. I'm not feeling grateful for the pain, but it is what it is. And so so be it. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you for this video.
Thank you, Patricia. We do need a reader. I wonder if it looks like Pat's there. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything before we begin? All right. Interrupt at any time.
What? Okay. I have as to where we were was on page 26. The bolded statement, if you cannot find where you end, then you must go on forever and you must be the unlimited being.
That's what I
That's
have
what-
too, Pat.
That's the last thing on the page that's on the screen. So I guess we go to the next page. You are the infinite self, which is everywhere all the time. But you have become so used to perceiving yourself as being limited and only located here. So, can you be the infinite self and go on forever, but have a lot of holes inside you where the objects of your perception seem to be? Is there a gap in your infinite subjective self where your brother is? Is he separate to your awareness? Can you even have a gap in an infinite being? No, you cannot, because it would not be infinite then. There can be no places you are not, and there can be no places you are absent. All these, quote, other beings are you, and all these objects are also you. There is nothing outside of you.
Can we stop for a moment?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. I think it was a recent Helen thing I was watching where this person was talking to Helen, and Helen said, well, you're just having a conversation with yourself. And I thought, that's it. Yeah, I could see that.
So I've done the experiment, right? Where we sit still and feel that there are no edges and that it just kind of goes, awareness just goes on. So I know you, when it says you, it's the you of awareness, right? Not the subjective person. So when she says, can you have a lot of holes? Can there be gaps? I remember when we read this the first time, it really shifted something, and I can even feel that right now, just like a comfort, and so this idea, there's more clarity coming around a statement like, there is nothing outside of you. It's really feels more real. Thank you.
And I think this relates to the conversation in the video we just had. I mean, is the pain, is pain something outside of me? It feels like autoimmune disease. It's like it attacking itself. Is that possible, really, for something to be outside that attacks, or inside? I'm not sure. Anyway, I want to hear what Richard has to say.
Morning, everyone. Love you all. Love you being here. What helps me is I don't want to confuse teachers, but what has helped me with this idea of being everything was the Course in Miracles. The hero of the dream versus the dreamer of the dream. So when I listened to Helen today, it was like the hero of the dream is having a certain experience, whether it be thought, feelings, or manifestations in the physical. And that's a separate self. So regardless how grandiose we want to make it, I have to be honest with myself and go, oh, okay. I'm really identifying myself as the hero of the dream, but I believe that the dream is already over. So I'm really watching a movie of Richard's life. And in that movie, I believe I am Richard. But I've learned by listening to all these teachers, that's not who I am. I am the dreamer of the dream. I'm actually watching the dream unfold in front of me. But I believe so deeply in the dream itself. I believe I am the character in the dream. And I want to change the dream. I want to avoid thoughts or feelings or pain or physical conditions in the dream, which is already over. So what I believe the Course says is you rise above the dream and you identify as the dreamer of the dream and you watch the movie. But you don't judge in the movie. You don't get drawn into it. You don't get drawn psychologically into the dream, believing you should do this or should do that. What you're really doing is watching what you did long ago. So maybe you take a medicine, which we all know is magic, according to the Course or spiritual teaching, but it seems to work. Maybe you're having a difficult problem dealing with something in your mind, thoughts about the past or the future. And that's what you did in the movie. And you're watching yourself do this in the movie. And that doesn't mean you're changing the movie. That doesn't mean the pain or the thoughts or whatever you're experiencing that you don't want to experience changes. It may still be there, like Patricia was saying. She's done that and she's doing that and she's letting it be as best she can. And I think that's what all of us are trying to do day to day with whatever comes up in the dream, because we're all so identified with the hero of the dream. We really believe we are the hero of the dream. And all these teachers are saying, no, you're not the hero of the dream. You're the dreamer of the dream. So I'm trying every day to identify as the dreamer of the dream. But what I have to admit, probably 90% of the time, when I'm going through my day, if something happens, I immediately identify as the hero of the dream. My knee-jerk reaction, and all I can think of, the Course says, the ego speaks first. That's why you have to pause to get out of the ego system and get in the right mind, whatever the teacher is you're listening to. That's what came up for me.
As I was listening to Richard, the Finding Truth podcast that Yumi brought us with Deepak, is what was coming up into my mind, and something I heard David Geum say. David Geum said that a question that you can ask when you're triggered, when something's going on, when you feel separate, is, why is this happening in my movie? He said that, thought of this. Deepak, and I think please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Deepak that said that there are an infinite number of movies. Right? Every moment we're recreating this illusionary reality. So every time we make a higher choice, we've jumped into a new movie. And I just wanted to acknowledge that here, especially with these symptoms of congestion and fatigue and whatever's going on that feel real, there feels like this continuous choosing going on to stay present, not to ignore the fact that the body has symptoms. And I did take some medication, you know, the dream character wanted some Mucinex. She got it, and it helps. But at the same time, how conscious, it's all happening in consciousness, right? And I'm back to Helen again. Helen, and this is where I've been playing with my mind over these last couple of days. How often has this mind wanted to go to, where did it come from? How long is it going to last? Have I given it to some, like, all worldly based kind of statements about the symptoms, when the inner guidance has been absolutely take care of the body. Like, I've been napping and resting and doing what I got to do, but not breathing on whatever. I've been doing all those things. Doesn't mean I have to think about them. It's an interesting kind of dance. And Helen's words in that clip that showed up out of nowhere is very, very useful to me. This idea that there are physical sensations, there are emotions or feelings, and there are thoughts. And there are all three of them are part of the dualistic world, right? And we get to be careful about having one cause the other, as opposed to all of them coming ultimately from this belief in separation. And how do we get there? So that's what was coming up for me, especially as I'm looking at the statement, that there can be no separation in consciousness. And you look at it logically, yet you're having the experience. So that's what's happening here now. Anybody else like to share? Izzy.
Yeah, a couple of things. Richard, that was so helpful what you shared. I've never understood the thing about everything's already done. But when you talk about it being a movie and we're watching the movie, it just clicked. So thank you for that. And Patricia, thank you. Thank you for talking about the opioid thing, because that gave me the chance to cry for the first time about my friend that's been into it for 15 years. So thank you for that. That's all.
Shall we see what's next in the book?
I do want to say, it is like, it's all about the separation, right? There is this, even though we know, or we could have had this experience, like, we don't find the end, and somehow bang, we still believe in the separation. So whatever is happening, we've talked about this a lot. It's for me, and this is the classroom, and this is the lesson, and this is what I'm here to learn. And there's only really one lesson. The lesson is that I'm not separate. The lesson is that we are the unlimited being. That is the lesson. But somehow the belief, the deep-seated disbelief of that is then that causes the feelings, and that causes the physical symptoms that are there for us. They're good to tell us, okay, get back to it, clean up all the crap in the basement. Get all that stuff up and out that you think, oh, I'm all right, Jack. And yeah, you are. Basically, I was listening to Ken Wapnick talking about the earth being a miserable place and we're all miserable. I'm not really basically miserable. I'm basically happy, but underneath it, there is this, this still roots of stuff that need to be pulled out. Yeah. Richard wants to say something too.
Richard seems to raise his
Oh, yeah.
hand as you speak.
One of the games I play with myself as Richard is lately the last couple of years every day I start the day with we're a team, spirit, mind, and body. With our team, we're within the illusion. So what's it going to be like today? So I ask my mind, I play spirit. I ask my mind, how are you today? Are you at peace? And my mind normally says yes. And then I ask is there anything I can do as spirit to help you exist within the dream? Anything I can do. No, keep doing what you're doing. Stay in the flow. Be aware. Be the love from moment to moment. I got it. I'm good. Okay. Then I go to the body. I ask the body, how are you today? Is there anything I can do for you? Because we're a team. So we're walking through this dream, and you're bringing up thoughts in my mind. I let them go. I'm trying to let them go, but all too often I grab them and run down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden I'm often someplace else. I have to remind myself to choose again, go into stillness, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, and then the body goes, oh, I'm okay. A little pain in the shoulder maybe this morning, but nothing real. I'm working on it. I'm working on all the problems in the body. So you don't have to worry about it. I'll let you know if I want you to do anything or take any medication or see a doctor or whatever. So I go, okay. And then I meditate. So that seems to be working for me. Now, I'm not I realize when I do this, I'm identifying as a separate self. I realize I'm in a dream. I have to consciously remember that I'm not Richard. I am the one child of God who believed for a moment, a nanosecond, or whatever the least amount of time is, I believe I separated from my source. And in order to feel innocent about myself, I projected all the sin, fear, and guilt in my mind out, and that became the world. That's where Richard was born. And I still identify, knowing all this crap, I still identify with Richard more than I do with the one child of God who believed is separated, like Pat was saying. But that's part of the dream. That's part of the experience. I came here to experience that. So I don't beat myself up anymore for being the separate self. The separate self is my way of manifesting the truth of what I am. So I celebrate the separate self as a vehicle for me to learn to heal my mind and also to be the love that I am within the dream, raise my frequency so I can help others, be truly helpful to others without looking for things to say or do. All I need to do is be the love that I am, and I'm automatically helping everybody in the dream. And that's why I love these meetings, because we get together, we're all helping each other by sharing our stories. And we all have our own path. We all have our own experiences, which appear to be different than anybody else's experience, but we're all heading in the same direction. So that's why I love you all, and I love our meetings, because we express with each other where we are and this trying to be all it is and still be a separate self. It's an interesting journey, to say the least.
Yes. Shall we read?
A little more. Okay.
All right, let me open it up.
The dictionary definition of infinite is limitless or endless in space, extent, or size, impossible to measure or calculate. So, if you think there are over 7 billion human beings and countless billions of animal and insect species, then that would make you an infinite being with holes inside you that are too numerous to count. There are 200 million insects for every person on Earth. If you spend even a few minutes thinking about this, you will see it must all be you. Even if we consider something smaller and more local, we can see it is not so. Consider the sofa you are sitting on right now, or the clothes you are wearing that seem separate from you. Are they really? How far does your infinite being go? I have seen many students tell me they know what it is to be formless, but they imagine a human body sitting less than 2 meters away is separate from them, and the air around them is also separate. To know what it is to be formless is really to accept there is nothing outside of you, different from you or separate from you. It may look as though you are just a human being living in a world populated by countless beings and insentient things, but this cannot be so. It really is a choice now of where you want to live from. You must either choose to live as that infinite being that you are, or continue imagining yourself to be small and limited and here only for a short time.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
If you want us to hear what you're going to say, Rana, you'll have to unmute.
Thank you for that reminder. I have a little note on the side and it says, it's how you frame it. And so I really appreciate what this paragraph is saying. It really is a choice now of where you want to live from. There's that pointing again, instead of looking at something, looking from something. And so that is very helpful this morning.
Yeah, that's
For me, you are the dream, and everything in the dream is you, because you're the dreamer of the dream. So that's my way of saying what you said, Rona.
Yeah, and when you say I'm the dreamer of the dream, I may be just saying this to teach myself, but what I immediately consider is that that dreamer of the dream is awareness, is looking through this point of view. It's the big eye, you know, and so there it is again. Where am I looking from? Am I looking at this as a limited self in the dream, or am I looking from awareness and observing the movie and just seeing the characters, and one of which is Rana, and she is Rana Ing.
The dream of the dream is still separate. It's still dualistic. The dream of the dream is as a final step that the Course says God will take, where the final step is where there is no separation, there is no dreamer of the dream, there is no dream. Everything just is, not physical force energy. There's no world, there's no dream, there's no dreamer of the dream. Everything just is. So our minds can, at least what I've heard from all these things, our minds cannot comprehend that. So we try as best we can with our finite mind to define what it is we're experiencing. But that's my understanding, that the dream of the dream is still a separate self. There's only one separate self, and within the dream. But the dreamer of the dream has made it more difficult by projecting out all the sin, fear, and guilt. And that's what we experience as holographic images of the one Son of God, who are a child of God, we're all individually conditioned separately. So we all appear to be separate from each other because we're different from each other. Anyway, I'm still trying to understand it, which I know I cannot do. So,
That last sentence there, you must either choose to live as that infinite being that you are, or continue imagining yourself to be small and limited and here only for a short time. And right after that, my mind went fear. If you imagine yourself small and limited and here only for a short time, that's your fear. That's your belief. First, the belief that you're small and limited, then the feeling that there's fear, and then the physical symptom, which right now I have in my foot, which is starting to act up, and then comes the phrase, you don't have a leg to stand on. So it's this is wonderful to be given the choice so clearly.
Because of awareness.
Yeah, I'm noticing that there's a lot of things going on in the chat, and wonder if anyone would like to read them into the meeting. Oh, Patricia, please.
I'd be glad to read. Well, I'll start from the beginning. Rona says, ego is an old habit. I like that. Izzy says, thank you, Richard. This is very helpful. Izzy, thank you, dear sister Michelle. Izzy, and as Cindy shared on Wednesday, practice certainty that all happenings have the ability to raise our vibration. And from Michelle, Jeff Bailey this morning said, instead of why is this happening, try what is this happening for? Spirit. And the later reminds me of Nadego. It's all for us. Thank you, Nadego, once again. Okay. And we move on to Amy. And I really don't know what anything is for. It's all just experience and it's all for me. I don't always need to know why, but to fully embrace as much as I am able in the moment, the great, capital letters. It won't last. If I don't like it, good to know it won't last. Wonderful. And for Michelle, yes, beautifully put. Thank you, Amy. One of my favorite ACIM lessons of all time. I don't know what anything is for. It is such a relief not to need to know the why, just as you say, that it's for us and that it won't last. Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you, Patricia. Izzy, go ahead.
That reminded me, I mentioned I watched a podcast with this man that was dealing with stage 4 cancer. And the title of the podcast was Don't Know, Can't Know, Don't Need to Know. That's really stuck with me. I just thought that's lovely.
Thank you. Shall we attempt to read for a few more minutes, or is there more? Looks
think-
like Pat's.
Yeah.
Oh, Patricia.
Yes, I have one thing to say. I'm just amazed and delighted that this group, it just what we talk about deepens every time we see each other and are together. And I just wanted to say thank you all for that.
Mhm.
I also I'm very moved by the word that's coming up is the intimacy. To be able to honestly share things like an opioid patch and how that moves us in a space with 15 people, and from what I can tell, no one has attempted to fix or judge or do anything other than hold a space, knowing that it's all arising in consciousness. The ability to create a space like that, which we've done together, is not always comfortable, so deeply transformative, and I'm just sometimes it rocks me that I get to be a part of it. Very, very grateful. The day go.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here with all of you. And I'm recovering. I'm walking, which is like so amazing. It's hurting me, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm just so happy with everything. So I can't thank everyone enough. So yeah, I think of you guys always.
So when did you start walking?
I actually it was yesterday that I was the doctor told me go ahead and start doing everything. So I am. It's hurting me, but I think that's normal. I don't know. I also have like we have a bed bug, so I have to deal with that too. But that's okay. Yeah, everything is okay, exactly the way it is. So so yeah, I'm gonna ask again. Okay, wait. So what what? Tell me exactly what can I do? What I can't do? You know, it's hurting. What do I do? Do I just let it just be? So I honestly I have no clue. So I'm gonna ask. Yeah. Uh, but walking has always been the best thing for me. So and I'm so happy to walk, even though it hurts. It's okay. That's just life, and it's interesting because I talked to my sister, and she's recovering from her surgery, and she's been in so much pain, and so I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever is happening is perfect. So I'm just like, okay, it's perfect. I don't need to get it. It's okay. Just it's perfect. And I'll always be guided what to do. So yeah, I'm so happy to be here with all of you. So just the best thing ever.
Best thing ever.
Think
All
of
right.
this one little paragraph here because it comes from the one before. You must
Okay.
either choose to live as that infinite being that you are, or continue imagining yourself to be small and limited and here only for a short time. Even to say you will have to choose is not really true, because as you continue to read and digest what you learn in this book, you will come to see that this has always been so. So what is actually happening then? Why do we keep imagining that all these other beings or objects exist in addition to us? Is it really due to one simple error in our thinking process? Oh, sorry, it's not a question. It's a declaration. It is really due to one simple error in our thinking process. We treat the subjective awareness as if it were an object, and we give it the properties of an object.
All right, can you stop there? Who can explain subjective awareness?
Well, I could try. I mean, it's like I think that I have this that my awareness comes out of this point, which is me. I think that would be it.
I see you're on.
It was the interesting from the Deepak video. He said the subject object split is artificial. Consciousness experience itself as subject and object. So it's not even real. It's not a real, there's only one subject is what occurs to me right now. The ultimate subject, everything.
What's the difference between a subject and an object? And I'm not asking as a teacher. I remember when I first started hearing about subject, object, and the perception and stuff, I think probably from, I don't know, whoever, it used to confuse me to no end. I just couldn't get it. And then I thought I got it. And now I'm back to this understanding that there's a confusion arising again.
My understanding for me is that in order to be a subject, there has to be an object, which automatically is dualistic, which is automatically non-reality. So in reality, there is no subject and there is no object. There just isness. So whenever you think you can perceive something other than yourself, or then you're in a subjective awareness. In other words, you're aware of things that are separate from you as awareness. That's a form of dualistic thinking, I think. So in order to, we cannot understand what oneness is, but we can experience it, as my understanding. So I don't experience it very often. Every once in a while I have a glimmer or a experience where I feel the oneness, but mainly my awareness is subjective. I'm aware of things other than myself. I can say intellectually, I'm one with everything. I do that multiple times a day, but there's somebody perceiving objects in my awareness. So I'm not sure I understand it either. So
Amy, I was hoping we'd hear your voice. You get to carry us out.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everybody. Sometimes I think it's fun to just play with being both your own perception and then putting yourself into the perception of the other that's with you. So when I'm in dialogue with someone and they're speaking with me, trying to really grok or understand what it is that they're saying and where it's coming from. And I find that as I practice doing that, the boundary between them and me becomes much more fluid or opaque. And that's a good practice for me. And I enjoy it. So I do that. I think it's also really interesting to also imagine that there are ways of perceiving that our small mind isn't capable of. So when we say everything is happening everywhere all at once, it's just this little headset that we have that we're even imagining that through. There are ways of being and experiencing existence that we can't even fathom. And that I find so beautiful and so exciting to try and move into that, just opening to that possibility and then playing with, because once I open that possibility in my mind, then I start to get these downloads of things that I can't even put words to, but just asking the question opens the door. And so I love to play with that. And that's all I have to say.
That's our hour, plus a few seconds. I love us so much.
Mhm.
And an open door, we'll meet again. We'll open for the next meeting on Monday, 10:30, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, where the rubber meets the road. I love us all very much.
Cindy, I think Patricia and I are going to try and stay